Always is very difficult to understand. There is not the same evaluations in different circumstances. Now I think the referee decided to for the red card, and I don't want to comment this referee decision because I didn't like to do it. For sure, the red card changed totally the game because in the start 11 we had 3 strikers, and the Perisic also is a winger, and then has changed totally the situation.
I think right from the beginning we were ready for it. I think we showed a lot of bravery and commitment to play the way we wanted to play. We generated the energy that we wanted to generate at the stadium, which is incredibly helpful when you play a game like this. And I think the players took the game, grabbed the game from the hand, and I think we deserve to win the game.
They won the North London derby, they're top of the league, everything's going well for Arsenal. Granit Xhaka is king of the world.
Yeah, he is. Delighted for him, the way it's gone. And the amount of managers have had faith in his ability and what he can do. To finally see him doing it under Mikel is obviously recognised that he needs to be pushed further forward. Me and Tim was talking about in the green room, and you put Granit Xhaka in a more defensive role with that kind of responsibility, with a player that doesn't really take people on. He hasn't got that kind of skill. He hasn't got that pace to get away from people. And what we found is that there were silly fouls, bookings, and giving the ball away. Obviously, that's not where he should have been playing. And, you know, thank God Mikel's found it from him, because he is so potent, because he's playing in a more advanced position. He's getting the ball when he's got a bit of time on it. He's got the capability and the ability to pass it through lines. He's got a great cross through. So now we're seeing the best of him. And I'm really pleased for him. It's been a brilliant transition.
But this is, we'll talk a bit more about him as a player and the changes that have helped him. But just purely on a connection with the fans, on terms of his state of mind, everything. I mean, this is a player who was storming off in the Palace game, arguing with the fans, complaining afterwards. He did a big piece in the Players' Tribune about how much stick he'd got from them and how difficult his relationship was with the Arsenal fans.
Yes.
Has it healed?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely it has. Because the thing with fans, and I have to say particularly with Arsenal fans, is that they want to forgive a player. They want a player to rise again from the ashes, you know, like he has done. And what's happened is that Mikel has given him the opportunity to do that, because if he was continuing to play where he was playing, we're saying Granit's been there for what, 6 years now, coming to 6 years, and you have to say the last under Mikel is where we've seen the progression of him. So the years before, you could count on one hand the amount of games, you know, good games he's had, because he wasn't playing in the right place. Now the fans are seeing what he can bring, seeing that he has got massive value to what Mikel's doing in respect of offensively. Of course they're gonna turn and like him, because, you know, especially watching the Arsenal documentary, you know, people see the kind of player he is and why those certain managers have kept him around the place, because he's great around the place. He's great with the lads. He's a good pro.
Didn't the players vote for him as captain as well?
Yeah, they did vote for him as captain, because he's that kind of leader. Now seeing him playing where he wants to play, and he's leading not only just because of the attitude and the personality he's in the dressing room, but through his actions on the pitch as well now, he's getting even more love from the fans, because now we're seeing the best of him.
I mean, you know that area of the pitch better than any of us on here. But so when you look at the changes, the fact that he is playing further forward, what is it? Is it the fact that he's lost a bit of responsibility, or is it the fact that he's gained licence to get forward?
But also you've
more?
got a different blend in there now, Kels. You know, Odegaard helps massively with the creativity of it. You know, they've got Saka out left. You know exactly how they want to play now. I think Mikel's got his identity into that side, and he's realised that Granit's probably not the most responsible. Even at the weekend, he gives the ball away for the penalty. You need to keep him away from his own goal, and he will go back and he will help out, because he's all about energy. He's 100 mile an hour, you know, and Wright is right. He does drive forward. He can get himself into the box. He plays like he now plays for Arsenal. He plays his best football for Switzerland, and everyone was saying, well, why can't he produce that for Arsenal? Because he was in a different role, and now he's in exactly the same role. But I think it's the blend, and I've got a lot of time for Granit Xhaka after, you know, the reaction was wrong. I think he openly admitted that you take your armband off, you're a captain of the football club, you cannot be sulking like that. And he probably thought he would never play for the club again, but he's rolled his sleeves up and he's come back. And I see a lot of character in a man who does that and wants to do it at a huge football club. He's obviously looked at other clubs. I think Roma or Mourinho was looking to bring him in there, but he's never, ever... Granit Xhaka's never going to play for a bigger football club than Arsenal. And I think it's hit home to him, and he's realised that he needs to knuckle down. And I think he's done that, and I give him a lot of respect.
That blend that Tim talks about in midfield, right across the pitch, seems to be coming together under Mikel Arteta, and that's why Arsenal find themselves top of the league. The difference in how they've started this season compared to how they started last season is just night and day.
And I think that's really important for them, because we saw them put together a really good middle-of-the-season run last and out of gas towards the end. So giving themselves a bit of a head start, which I personally don't think they're going to probably be able to hold on to this position. Sorry, Wrighty. But I think it gives them as good a head start as anyone to make sure that they get that Champions League place, because last season they started so badly, put together that middle run, then finished so badly. They need to start off on the right foot and also make the most of having a fairly fit squad right now. I know there's already talk of bringing an extra midfielder in January, and I think that will be the difference between a team like Arsenal and a team like Manchester City, is the depth. It's just so different, and they will be hit by injuries. They will impact that squad a lot, but right now, while you've got fit players, you have to make the most of it in these big games, and it'll be interesting to see what they do against Liverpool as well.
Flo, do you not see them as the second best team in the Premier League?
I think right now I would probably say they're the second best. I think Chelsea, new manager obviously, and still searching for form, and I think it's been a difficult season. United, I would say the same thing. And Tottenham, I think, we were speaking about it before, I think when their plan works, it's great, and when it doesn't work, it's not so good. But it's whether they can hold on to it, and I think it's that fitness, because I just don't see a way that Arsenal can hold on to a fully fit squad to retain second place.
Yeah, but while Arsenal top, I think Man City are the second best team in the league. But do
you think that'll back you up? Do you think they'll hold on to second?
No, well, the thing is, you can't look at a Manchester City side like that with the depth, like you rightly say, and with Arsenal, where still at this point, a couple of players out there, then it kind of like skews it a little bit. But all you can do is just like them pacemakers, just lead from the front and hope they can't catch you. But like they've got City chasing them. That's the main thing. What I read the other day, which was really interesting to read, is that a team with this many points at this stage of the season have always made top four. Arsenal are trying to make top four, and that, for me, is the focus. You can't legislate for injuries, but as long as what I've seen of them from the start of the season to now is an intensity, the crowd, the players, and a belief that they can do something. We're trying to chase down City. Everybody are trying to chase down City, but all they can do now is what they're doing, and that is continue to do what they're doing. Again, Liverpool's going to be a big test. The first team they played...
Even the way they're playing?
Yeah, but the thing is because, again, Liverpool, playing against Liverpool, we saw what happened with Man United, and Man United beat them. A couple of mistakes where Arsenal, Man United beat them. That's how small the margins are. Liverpool, again, defensively, you could see they can be got at, but can you sustain it against that team? Because, again, Liverpool have got the kind of players that offensively can hurt you. Now, I don't believe that Arsenal should be going into that game feeling like you're at home. You should be beating this Liverpool side in the form they're in at the moment, and that is how you should be approaching the game. Because what I saw of Liverpool is that this is the time to play them. Yeah. This is the time to play them. So Arsenal, with the belief, with the way they're playing, everybody's buzzing. There's no injuries, really. This is the kind of game where they've got to go, for me, at home and beat Liverpool. We have to beat them if we're serious about trying to get where we want to be, and that is the top four and pushing Manchester City as far as you can.
Yeah. Also, it's a good season to have good form. We haven't quite seen a season this recently where you've got so many big teams struggling for form.
Last time that happened was Leicester.
That's going to help them, and I think that'll, not to say that they don't deserve to be in that position, but that is giving them a little bit of a helping hand.
But it's interesting because I think everybody predicting this season thought we're going to have so many top teams hitting form that actually they're going to end up taking points off each other. That's not the way it's worked out.
No,
we've seen
and that middle
kind of
pack growing as well and chasing those top teams and getting really good results. You saw what Brighton did first, day with a new manager, and they already take points at Liverpool. So I think that is going to play into Arsenal's hands a little bit because they can reap the benefits of all of these teams struggling.
What do you think the Arsenal players think that they can do? Because I've heard a lot of them talk about the confidence. Arteta talked about the bond between players and staff and the crowd, that kind of holy trinity in football. Aaron Ramsdale saying we were really stung by missing out on Champions League qualification last season. We really want to. That's motivating us this time around. He said they'd sort of burned for it, and they were desperate to get this success. Would that mean finishing in second place? Would that be Arsenal's peak finish this season, do you think?
Well, their remit is to get back into the Champions League, because firstly, what that will do is that will attract another level of player.
What I'm trying to ask is that the least they can aim for?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
The least
because
they
if
can...
I'm in that dressing room now with no injuries, everything, it will be buzzing right now in the dressing room. You know what it's like, Tim, when you're not even when you're top, just when you're playing well and you know you've got a great game coming next, you're buzzing. If Arsenal players are not thinking about trying to win the league, then they won't stay there, because you can't be up there thinking about like when you're winning the league. You can't be thinking about, well, we're not meant to be here. Nobody thinks we can do it, so we're just going to stay as long as we can. And then when we start losing, that was it. But we had a great go.
Yeah.
Arsenal players at the moment should be thinking of trying to win the league, because the least that's going to happen is you're going to be in the Champions League places. And that is what they started at the season wanting. But all you've got to do is, like Flo said, you've just got to take the next game as it comes and see where it takes you. Because I wouldn't be thinking of, in that dress, I don't want to be just fourth now. I want to win the league.
Yeah.
That's what should be pushing them.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Blackbird's quite a good analogy with that, in that you think,
because everybody thinks, oh, they're going to get caught. They're going to get caught.
But it's almost that
When
thing of
does
when
it
you
flip
go. But the worry is in that situation, because City have been so dominant, because they have been setting these 90+ points totals.
Yeah.
There is a danger then if Arsenal think, right, we're going head-to-head with City, they lose one game, they drop behind them and they think, well, the league's gone now. And that can be really deflating. So it's about kind of, yes, OK, thinking that's my overall season ambition, or that's our overall season ambition, but you have to win each individual. And what I'm desperately trying not to say is take each game as it comes.
Well, I mean,
But you just have to win each match.
Well, I was going to say as well, from your experience, when does the target shift? When is the moment in the season where you say we've gone from
when we beat Man United 3-2 at our place, when we went back in the dressing room, there's a different feeling. It's like when Leicester beat Man City 3-1 that season. That's when it shifted for them.
This is real.
Yeah, this is where you think we can do this. When we done that, we can do this.
So do Arsenal have to stay in it till they play City?
No, they play Liverpool. First and foremost, they play Liverpool next. I think they beat Liverpool.
If they beat Liverpool, you have to start thinking like it. Yeah.
You think now Arsenal will finish above Liverpool?
Well, the way the points are now, it's then the way that Arsenal and Liverpool are playing.
Well, that's good, and I agree with you. I think they are the second best team in the league. I think Man City are. Right, it's right. They're still above them, but Man City are just stronger in depth. But
because what Man City do is
Arsenal got players. They got a manager who knows. They all know the formation, and not only that, what he's tried to do is he's tried to buy a little bit of experience of winning trophies as well. He's got Zinchenko in there. He's got Jesus in there. Do you think they've gone there to finish in the top four?
Exactly. They've gone there.
They've gone there now. They've gone in with that winning belief, and they're trying to spread it around the dressing room.
You know, the thing as well, Tim, is what City have done, and why I feel that at the moment it's kind of broken Liverpool's back, because they've had to hold on to him for so long. The pressure of having to win every week because you know.
Do you think that's affecting Liverpool this season?
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I think that for Liverpool to, and I've said it, you know, if it wasn't for Liverpool, you know what I mean, it'd be a procession for Man City, and I stick by that. And I think to a certain extent.
And even then, they've still won 4 out of the last 5.
Exactly. And you look at them, and I think it's just got to them a bit in respect to the players. You've got players at a certain age, over 30s, and then you've got players that are under 22s, and that they need that middle kind of age group to keep them going, keep the energy going. At the moment, I think Arsenal have it, but do Arsenal have the resilience to, when Man City win, we have to win? They haven't got that experience yet, and that is what Man City will do. Yeah. Man City will continue to win games and wait and see, right, here you go, there's the pressure. And what we saw with Liverpool is, OK, bam, we'll win as well. Back to you. Yeah. Can Arsenal do that? That's what's going to come down to.
Right, Mikel will love this discussion. You know, 8 games in, we're talking about them being title challengers to Man City. I mean, he would love it. It just shows you how far they've come. He's done a great job. He's had his ups and downs, people shouting for his head. He won a trophy, which gave him a bit of time when he first went in there. I think they win the Europa League as well. I think it's the easier one to win. Hopefully that doesn't put them off their Premier League campaign. I see they're the second best team in the league at the moment. Have they got the strength in depth? Have they got the experience? That remains to be seen. I think Liverpool will come. I think Chelsea will improve. And Tottenham will be there or thereabouts.
What will happen,
great
Tim?
Premier League season.
Whatever happens off of the back of this season, if Arsenal do get in the top four with the players that I know that are probably waiting to come to Champions League.
Who?
No. Waiting for Arsenal to get in the Champions League. This season will be a massive learning curve for this team.
Yeah,
that's that's the least we can get out of it.
Cannot believe you've given us crumbs. Cannot believe you've given us crumbs. Just dangling those players in front of us.
Still only 8 games.
It's only 8 games, but there's players waiting to come if Arsenal finish in the Champions League.
Got identical hair to when you played with him, hasn't he?
It hasn't changed a bit.
All moved. Very good start to the season for Arsenal and for Mikel Arteta, as we can show you with these stats. Interestingly, only the bottom one did Arsenal actually ever win the league, 2003-04, the unbeaten season. But just say to everybody what you were saying to us off air about Arteta's influences as a manager, because I think that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, you're just asking about, how well he's doing, and I was saying I'm not surprised, having worked closely with him and knowing the character he is, and then you put that together with the fact that he's had an education under David Moyes, he's had an education under Arsene Wenger, he's had an education under Pep Guardiola, 3 managers who have been top quality in their own way, who've had different styles, different approaches, and you learn tactically how you want to approach, what you learn off the field about how you approach the game, and you can take out of that what you want to make you the best version of yourself. So having seen that from him, I'm not surprised that he's having success right now, because they are 3 wonderful people to learn from, and we've seen him in his failures and how or his difficult times and how he was handling himself, and I'm not surprised to see that his team's doing well.
I haven't seen many unhappy players under him, as in moaners. Aubameyang is one example. However, the kids and the seniors and the Xhaka situation, he seems to have managed it very, very well and kept everybody happy,
Well, you think about last season and the players that, in his words, he had to get out of the club. And then you look at yesterday, when they scored that goal and Xhaka gets the team together and the spirit and the camaraderie. They just scored a goal, and yet we're all staying here. We're all having a word. We are one team, one unit. What a turnaround that is for Arsenal.
So Arsenal play quite progressively. I think even some Tottenham fans say that the way they play, which is on the counter at times, might be a bit frustrating. But sometimes, does on the counter mean that actually you drop so deep you think, well, we've got safety in numbers, but it's not necessarily as simple as that?
No, it's okay. It's okay. Look at all the numbers there that they do have in the boxes. All the players are back doing what they need to do. There's one just outside the box, but you can get back into a very, very good defensive position and not contribute anything to that defensive spell of work. I mean, look at them. They're all in the box.
But if you're going to counter, how would you say Tottenham are going to counter from that position? Your Sons and your Richarlisons are too deep to actually counter-attack. So I think they've just, in this game, found themselves not quite in a moment of panic, but overdoing their jobs, not trusting.
And look how free Partey is then.
Yeah, not trusting the defenders to do their jobs. The midfielders need to all step up 5 or 10 yards, step back into midfield where they're doing their own job. They were so guilty of dropping deep, allowing Arsenal, who were terrific on the day. There's no getting away from
that. And even
that.
though this is a Lloris howler, there's still, look how many Tottenham players are back there.
Again, you can get players back, but then what happens is there's so many players back, nobody knows who to mark. You've doubled up on the amount that need to be there, really, and then you start passing the ball. Oh, he was your man, or was he your man? Do your job.
Tottenham had a spell just before half-time
just
in
after
that game where if they'd have scored one of the 2 of their opportunities, if they'd have been a bit more ruthless, if they have been at times in the season, the game could have been differently. But if you play as negatively as Tottenham did in that approach, and you're not ruthless and you don't take them opportunities, you're going to get criticised for the way you've approached it.
Yeah, what I spotted with Arsenal, and I've not said this for a long time about Arsenal, all those little sort of loose balls, all those little balls that were in between a Spurs player and an Arsenal player, Arsenal won. Just those little fighting balls, it's just there, and they fought and they wanted it. They're the bits. As a Spurs player, you're thinking, oh, he's stronger than me. Oh, he's got there before me. It's mental doubt. Arsenal were very mentally strong in that game.
So after Jesus made it 2-1, Royal got sent off, then Arsenal made it 3-1. Let's have a word with Chris Foy. Chris, there's quite a lot of a debate about this red card. What did you feel as to the validity of the decision?
Yeah, it's the correct call, and I think that between the referee and his assistant Gary Bezic, they've certainly got this right. And I think the clues with this challenge are the ball itself, because the player doesn't make any attempt to play the ball. You'll see it here. Emerson Rowe, the ball is nowhere near him, and he just rakes him down the back of the leg. I mean, it's a dangerous tackle. And when we talk about player safety, you see there the ball, he's not even challenging for the ball. Does it endanger the player's safety? It does. But between the two match officials, Gary Bezic and Anthony Taylor, they've made the right call. That is definitely a red card.
We think the linesman helped out here. Leon, what's your thought? Look, the linesman's right on the ball, literally.
Yeah, and he's signalling to the referee there. I just thought it was harsh at the time. I thought, it's in the version, it's a strong yellow. I would have been okay if that would have been just a yellow and not a red card. But I can't argue strongly enough to say that it's not a red card. It's into that gap, but in my opinion, it probably should have just been a yellow card.
Yeah, I'd go red. I'd go with Chris. I think it's a red, and I think the reason that Chris gave for me is perfect, because if Ozzy's this side, I'm always going to have the ball on this side, so I'm in between the two, and that's exactly what the situation was. I just think it was a tackle that was made lazy. I think you're right,
yeah.
And he was having a torrid day as well. He was, to be fair, and he was frustrated. But for me, it's dangerous.
I think it's one of those, and we'll speak to Chris a little bit later, thank you, that if it had been given a yellow, that wouldn't have been overturned either. And some referees would have only given a yellow, and the other half would give a red, and that's, that's the way it is.
It's an in-between one.
But it's an in-between one, and we're happy with the on-field decision.
Absolutely.
Now, Granit Xhaka's playing well, isn't he? And that's not something that we've said that often, that regularly, because he's playing further up the pitch. That's the point.
Yeah, I think he plays for his country further up the pitch as well, and he seems to be, enjoying it, and he seems to be smiling. Arsenal seem to be getting better performances from him, and he's affecting football matches in a positive way. 2-3 years ago, when he's having arguments with the fans and he's throwing his shirt on the floor, I'm thinking he's out the door.
He's thinking he's out the door. He said he was out the door.
He's got to have something else, isn't he?
Well, he's becoming Arsenal's left-footed Kevin De Bruyne, isn't he? He's playing further up the pitch. He's playing in that position. He's getting on the ball. He's making things happen. He's making assists with those beautifully flighted left-foot passes. He's scoring goals. And, he seems such a strong character within
Arsenal's goal and allowing a bit more freedom up the pitch.
Yeah.
He's a good footballer. It's just on the odd occasion he loses his head and he lets himself down and the club down. Get him up the pitch, allow him to do what he's good at.